Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Youth Engagement Talk Series 2022. Before we get started, to make this occasion even more barakah and smooth sailing, please welcome Mr. Muhammad Abdul Benceso, a student from the College of Civil Engineering, University Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Pulau Pinang, Malaysia, to recite an opening prayer.
الفاتحة. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي للجلال والإجلال العظيم السلطان اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Allahumma ya Allah, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Let your blessings and your peace be on your servant and your messenger, Muhammad, and on his family and his companions. Allahumma ya Hafizun ya Raqib. On this glorious night, in conjunction with the event, we uphold our hand to pray gratefully, to thank on your infinite favor to us, till we can live in peace and harmony to perform our tasks as your servants. O Allah, we ask your blessings to make this occasion in success. Allahumma ya Hayyu ya Qayyum, ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram. You are the mercy of the mercious, and you are the Lord of the universe. Give us mercy from your presence, and shape for us right conduct in our pledge. We ask you for your knowledge which is beneficial and sustenance which is good, and deeds which are acceptable. O Allah, help us to remember you, to thank you, and to worship you in the best of manners. Forgive us, have mercy upon us, guide us, give us help and grant us sustenance. Allahumma ya salam, ya mu'min, ya muhaimin. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the universe. O Allah, we seek on you the means of your mercy, the means of your forgiveness, the protection from all mistakes, the benefit from all virtue and the freedom from all sins. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Abdul, for leading the prayer. As you all know, this event is from the 17th to 20th of May, and today is our first day. My name is Lisha Isabel Miriam binti Muhammad Noor. I am a hotel management student from University Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Pulau Pinang, Malaysia, and I am honored to be your host for today's program. We are very excited because this is the first international collaborative partnership project this year that has been organized by the English Language Club, Academy of Language Studies, and Unit Co-Curriculum of University Technology, Mara Cawangan Pulau Pinang, Malaysia. Also, this program is held in collaboration with Universitas Muhammadiyah Pontianak in Indonesia and Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology in Philippines, based on our Memorandum of Understanding MOU signed by the two universities with UiTM Malaysia. In addition, we are also joined by students from other respectable universities which are Xavier University, Antonio de Cagayan in Philippines, Multimedia University Malaysia, and University of Malaya Malaysia. With the theme Academia Stories, this program aims to encourage knowledge sharing among university students from our partner universities as well as other institutions regarding various university cultures such as student exchange, emotional well-being, and leadership qualities and others. At the same time, we have also invited renowned speakers from various organizations to share their point of view on certain important issues related to university students. The objective of this event are to build partnership and cooperation between students and educators to improve students' self-confidence in public speaking and contribute to the international activities of University Teknologi Mara Cawangan Pulau Pinang, Malaysia with our current and future international MOU partners through these webinars. For today, we will be having two sessions. The first will be a webinar talk entitled Balancing Academic Life by our guest speaker, Ms. Sarah Yap Kim Wen. Ms. Sarah Yap Kim Wen graduated from Health University for Bachelor in Psychology, and a former National Taekwondo Kumse athlete from 2015 to 2021. She is also an athlete representative for the national Taekwondo team from 2018 to 2021 and a team captain of the national Kumse team from 2019 to 2021. And she has also received awards such as Moonstar Awards 2020, Top 10 Young Talents in Malaysia, Taekwondo Malaysia Best Performing Female Athlete of the Year in 2019 and 2018. Also, in Health Sport Woman of the Year in 2019, 2017, and 2014. She is also a senior instructor or a project coach at the World Taekwondo Academy and has many other achievements throughout her career. The second session will be a forum on managing emotional well-being of university students, and we will be having four guest panelists. One guest is from UITM, one guest from Multimedia University, and two guests are from two different universities from the Philippines. Just a reminder, the feedback form for this program is at the checkbox on our YouTube channel. Without taking much of your time, please welcome our first guest for the webinar talk on balancing academic life. The moderator for this session will be Mr. Ikhwan Nuruddin, a manufacturing engineering technology student from UiTM Penang. Take it away, Mr. Ikhwan. I request everybody to give a round of applause for the beautiful Miss Sarayap Kimwan.
Hi everyone.
Assalamualaikum and everyone can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Well, at least I can hear you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Youth Engagement Talk Series organized by English Language Club, University Teknologi Mara, Cawangan Pulau Pinang, Malaysia. I am Ikhwan Nuruddin bin Khairuddin, your host for this session. Tonight, we are fortunate to have Miss Sarah Yap Kim Wen, who was a former Malaysian Taekwondo Pumse athlete. She represented Malaysia at the 2018 Asian Games and she claimed a bronze medal in the women's individual Pumse event. This also became the first medal to be earned by Malaysia during the 2018 Asian Games and also marked the first Asian Games Taekwondo medal for Malaysia since the 2002 Asian Games. Apart from being enthusiastic about sports, she is also involved in youth and character development activities. Tonight, we are going to engage with Miss Sarah Yap on the topic balancing academic life. Okay, Miss, I think you can continue our talk today.
So I think I was told that I'll be given questions, that you'll be moderating it.
Okay. On Facebook, we know you have been doing taekwondo since you were 7 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can you strike a balance between academics and personal life? Maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me how I generally balance my academic and life altogether because when it comes to sports and when it comes to being in the national team, and it becomes a full-time job. So in a sense, you're actually working during your degree, which is what I did. And I started off in the national team very late. And we got into the national team when I was 18. I'm 18, so 18 is the age where we go straight into foundation. So that is after our high school. And that it was a big responsibility and it was very hard to handle at first. But I knew what I wanted, and that was to make a career out of sports. But of course, my sport was still starting at the time, and I had academics thankfully, to kind of like be a complement to my career, which was psychology. Or it can be a backup in case my sport doesn't work out in the end. Because my sport back then wasn't achieving too much yet. So they were kind of still considering us into the national team, or, to know whether or not to endorse us officially. So we had to work really hard. And how I balanced that was, obviously, I was very fortunate to have helped university to be very flexible with my studies. So whenever I was required to go for competition, they allowed me to go. Whenever I asked them for a gap year, or whenever I asked them if I could skip a semester, they allowed me to very willingly, and they understood my situation. So my university played a very important role in my sporting career just because they were very flexible. Um, and yeah, because my entire uni life comprised of my the uprising of my career, and also to balance academics, it was very, very packed. So obviously, I mean, if you look at academic and life balance, academic can be one thing, but then there is life balance. It is not two things, it's actually academic plus several things. So obviously, I had to sacrifice a few other important things that I felt I couldn't handle. Some things, unfortunately, I had to sacrifice family time, for example. Family time, friends, my social uni life, my campus life was sacrificed. So I only had my academics and my career to balance with. And that took up pretty much all of my time.
Oh, so one question. You just only play taekwondo or another sport?
So in high school, I was very active in softball. I represented KL State for softball, and I was also active in taekwondo. So mainly these two sports, but I also did athletics. So I did longer distance running. So 400 meters was my thing lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are some indicators that your life is in order? Are you feeling unbalanced or what?
Um, I mean, definitely there would be some sort of unbalance, because I think for me, my life has been overwhelming enough with just trying to balance work and academics at the same time, because my timing was so packed. But I think it would be even more unbalanced if I was very disorganized. Because if I was disorganized, then that would mean I don't have my life in track. Because I'm more of a person who values system and structure. That works for me. So if I were to be disorganized, that's it for me. So yeah, thankfully, I mean, yeah, I have a few um out of balance situations, in the sense that I get burnt out, but it's manageable.
Ah,
Yeah.
uh, okay. As we all know, today's
Mm-hmm.
electronics are becoming more sophisticated and high tech. There are
Mm-hmm.
many different sort of social media, such as Facebook, IG, TikTok, Omi, and others. So, what effect does social media have on your personal, academic, and social life? Maybe you can tell us anything.
Uh, for me, because the situation in Malaysia for athletes is, or maybe just for the sporting industry in general, it's such a way that it's on the media so much. So we place an emphasis on sports a lot. So when it comes to multi-sport games, or any sort of regional or continental championships, we do get the publicity for it. So for me, my social media acts as a way for me to connect with my followers. And if you want to talk about it in business sense, it does help in business, because I'm able to market myself, and it can pretty much work for everybody. It's just that for me, it's more of an advantage, because as an athlete, I already have that much publicity, even just by going to competitions, I already have um all right publicity back then when I was just starting out anyway. Um so for me, social media is a good boost for me.
Okay. Before this, I already searched about you, Miss. That you have been injured. Uh, before the event. So how long did you take to recover your injured?
Okay, so injuries to me is not uncommon. I'm very, very, very familiar with injuries because I have it so often. So every single competition I go to, I'm always injured. And usually the injuries are quite bad. So typically, I have both my knees have been injured before. But those are considered not as major as compared to my ankle. My ankle, I had it in 2018 uh on March, and then that one was really bad because I completely torn four ligaments in my ankle. So my ankle was just basically flaccid like that lah. If you goyang, you shake like that, it's just you know it's just totally unattached. So I had to wrap my ankle every day for about from March to August until Asian Games. And so happened that 2018 was a very, very busy year. Um, the doctor suggested for surgery because if something is unattached, obviously you have to attach it back through surgery. But I didn't go for surgery. I just chose to wrap it every day, but still go for competition. So that took some time to heal, but eventually I healed. But I went to Asian Games and I think there were other games after that. I went in with my injury lah. So that one was March to August or September. The longest one I had was during the pandemic or a little before the pandemic, 2019, sorry. 2019 until 2020, I think. Around 2020 or early 2021. I had a hip injury that was so bad. The surgery was actually complicated. I went for surgery for that and it was very complicated. I the that pain scale was like a 8 out of 10 every time I couldn't sleep. It was very bad. It took me 1.5 years to sit through that pain. And during that 1.5 years, I still went for SEA Games 2019. I went for other championships before the SEA Games, and then the pandemic hit, uh, and everything was shaky. I didn't go through surgery. And then eventually, when we knew that the pandemic was just gonna be ongoing, then that's when I decided to have a surgery lah. So that was 1.5 years was the longest I had to sit with a injury.
What advice would you provide to someone who is struggling to strike a good academic life balance?
Hmm. I guess definitely it is to figure out what you really want out of life. Like there are some people who are very academically inclined. They want to prioritize that first. Then obviously, sure, go ahead, prioritize your academics. But for people like me, I prioritized my sports, my career first. So in that sense, it's to always to reflect and possibly journal because when you list everything down, you can see everything clearly, and then you don't see it kind of like a life crisis. You see it as sort of uh and a few issues to deal with and a few solutions to come up with for yourself. So that's what I did when it comes to my academic studies and also my career. And that's what I still continue to do actually, just so that I get my life sorted out.
Mm. So, are you study now?
Oh no, I've graduated in 2019.
Ah,
So yeah, in 2019 I graduated. I continued with my sporting career up to end of 2019, beginning 2020, the pandemic hit. So I continued with my career until last year, October. So October last year was when I officially retired from the national team. It was very official. I had to send in my letter saying why I'm retiring. It's because it's resigning from a job, because we do get our salary from the government for training and competitions and all that. So it's very official. I had to write my letter in, tell them why I'm retiring, and I retired because of my hip. So what happened was after my surgery, I still managed to compete in one Asian Championships, but it was online. So it sounds kind of weird. I'm in taekwondo, but I'm on the performing side of taekwondo. So that doesn't require me to compete like one versus one with somebody else. So we can do it online. So I managed to still go for one competition. But after that competition, I realized that my hip was still having some issues. And I went back to see my surgeon. My surgeon said that something new came up. So if I still want to continue my sport, I have to do another surgery. Yeah, so that's why I didn't want to do another surgery, because it doesn't make sense for me anymore if I were to do another surgery and then take another 3 months off to do my rehabilitation and then train back up again. It takes up a lot of time. That will take about another 6 months. And I'll be missing games like this year. It'll be the SEA Games. World Championships was just about a month ago. I'll be missing all the major tournaments, so it just didn't make sense to me. Then I retired lah.
Oh, okay. Last question from me. How can one strike a balance between their personal and social life?
The simplest answer is to obviously turn off your social media and don't
Mm-hmm.
go on it. I mean, that's the obvious answer, right? If you don't, um, what is it called? Ignorance is bliss. So if you don't know anything about it, you're just happy. But obviously, it's much more complicated than that. I think a lot of people use social media for different reasons. Like for me, I use it to market myself. I use it to do business because now I'm a coach and I need clients. I need to market myself as a coach sometimes. So social media is important to me in some ways, but it's always good to set a boundary for yourself, what you want to show on social media, what you want to show about yourself, how do you want to portray yourself on your social media. That's always important to set a boundary, because I think there's nothing more important than protecting your own mental health and also protecting whatever personal things you want to protect. There's nothing more important than that, than showing things out publicly, because that's not so important.
Oh, Miss, maybe you
Mhm.
can give us advice who want to join taekwondo. Maybe sometimes they feel scared about to join this sport.
Well, I think I understand why some people are scared to join the sport. Maybe some people think that it's very violent, because all the kicking, all the punching, all the getting hit in the chest, all those kind of things. But obviously there are safety precautions, so I can't tell you not to be scared, but you can always just try, because if you don't try, you don't know, right? There are many sides to taekwondo. One is the one that everybody recognizes, where you fight in the ring with somebody. That is, I guess, what everyone thinks that is very, very violent. But there are also performing sides of taekwondo, like mine. I perform on stage, so obviously that's not violent, so it's less scary. It's only scary when you step on the stage because everyone's eyes is on you. So that's the just about the only scary part. But to try out is not so scary. We also have other performing sides of taekwondo, like we call it in Korean, because my sport is Korean, it's called kyokpa. Kyokpa means to break boards.
Mm-hmm.
So you see in some martial arts where they break boards and all those stuff, that is one side of performing in Taekwondo. So that also is obviously not scary. It's more of like a challenge to, break boards, and it's quite fun. It's very fun to challenge yourself and, be confident in breaking something. Yeah. And then there is also dance, actually. There's also dance and gymnastics included into Taekwondo now. So my sport is very advanced. It's not limited to fighting. A lot of people are going onto the performing side, which is the side that I'm at. So yeah, there's a lot of selections and a lot of experimenting, exploring to do in Taekwondo actually.
Uh, uh, like silat we have many categories, right? It's like silat olahraga, silat
Mm.
seni. What about taekwondo?
Yeah, so Taekwondo is the same. I'm on the performing side, so it's just like silat seni, where you have your bunga, you have your weapons, you have different routines. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah.
So you learn silat also, what?
No, I don't learn silat. Unfortunately not. But I have friends in silat. Yeah.
Miss, we have come to the end of the session. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure.
Thank you very much, Miss Serayap. I hope all of you in the audience have benefit from the talk. Till then, good night. Okay, Miss. Thank you, Miss. All.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ikwan. Everybody, please give another round of applause to Ms. Sarayap Kimran. Thank you so much for willing to have this session with us. This is essential for students as it encourages us to learn ways in balancing our academic life. Now let's move on to our second session, which is a forum entitled Managing Emotional Wellbeing of University Students. The moderator of this sessions is Ms. Nur Shazlana binti Zaidi, a Bachelor of Manufacturing Engineering Technology student from University Technology Mara, Cawangan, Pulau Pinang, Malaysia. The panelists are Ms. Nur Anakah Kristina binti Muhammad Faizal from the Faculty of Health Sciences from UiTM Penang, Mr. Muhammad Faris bin Hanafiah from the Faculty of Information Science and Technology from Multimedia University, Malaysia, Ms. Andrea Alexa Joan Ermino from the School of Education, Xavier University, Antonio de Cagayan in Philippines, and Ms. Franz Erica Arcamo from the College of Arts and Social Science, Mindanao State of University, Iligan Institute of Technology in Philippines. It is an honor to have these brilliant students here. Now, without taking much of your time, please welcome and let's give a round of applause for these four brilliant guests. Take it away, Ms. Shazlana.
Good evening and welcome to our webinar, International Your Engagement Talk Series 2022. And my name is Nur Shazlana and I will serve as your moderator for this forum with the title, Managing Emotional Well-Being of University Students. So today, we are actually having four great panelists to discuss our topic, and let me introduce them. Firstly, we have Ms. Nur Anakah Kristina Muhammad Faizal from Faculty of Health Science, University Technology Mara, Penang Branch, Malaysia. How are you, Ms. Anakah?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Hope you guys are doing well too. Hello, viewers.
Okay. So for today, we have two panelists from Philippines. Welcome, Miss Andrea Alexa John Ermino from the School of Education Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, Philippines. Hello, Miss Andrea Alexa.
Good evening, may gabi sa tanan. Kalinaw.
Yeah. So how are you? How are you there?
Actually, I feel great. I'm quite nervous, but I'm really excited to share my thoughts about this evening's topic.
Just now I heard that you have a nickname for us to call you, right?
Yeah, actually, we talked about that earlier. So you can call me Erms. That's my nickname. That's how my friends call me here at Xavier.
All right. Okay. So we proceed for our second panelist from Philippines, Miss France Erica Arcamo from College of Arts Social Science, Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, Philippines. Hello, Miss Erica.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shazliana. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You can call me Erica, by the way.
Erica, okay. Okay, and last but not least, our finalist for today is Mr. Muhammad Faris Bihanafia from Faculty of Information Science and Technology, Multimedia University, Malacca, Malaysia. Hello, Miss Muhammad Faris.
Hello, everybody.
Sorry,
Nice to meet
I
you.
pronounced it wrong, Mr. Muhammad Faris.
It's fine. It's fine. It's nice to meet you.
Okay. Welcome to our webinar, and we are happy to have all of you with us today. So I hope everyone is feeling good and ready to do the discussion for today. Okay.
Absolutely.
So a brief introduction about mental health. Mental health issues among university students is a major growing health concern. Research conduct in recent years has established that cases of students diagnosed with mental health issues are on the rise. Therefore, managing our mental health and emotional well-being is very important, especially for students. And this being the reasons for today's focus of discussion. Okay, without further ado, let's start our discussion for today. So, our first question for us to discuss is, as a university student, when you hear the phrase mental health, what a few words that comes to your mind?
Well, maybe can I start to elaborate first?
Yeah, you can start first, Mr. Faris.
Well, basically, when it comes to about mental health, it's all about what is our mental state or our mindset of how we are going to face our life in university, our school life, or whatsoever. Because when it comes to mental health, it's very important for us as a student needs to have some intention for us to keep consistently maintaining a good mental health, because a lot of reality in a university life, school life, that can brings us to something challenging, but it is our duty, and it is our, how to say, it's our uh, journey for us to explore how we supposed to find our strong mental health to survive in our life in university, our school life, or our work life. So yeah, I think that's my general opinion about the mental health. What about maybe Miss Erica?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Faris. I completely agree with you. I guess for me, the things that come into my mind whenever I hear the phrase mental health, depression, I think that's one of the prevalent issues that we have, especially for students who are going through a difficult time balancing their academics and other areas of their lives, and also breakdowns. And in fact, I also had couple of breakdowns the past month because of dealing with thesis, since I am a graduating student here at our college. So I had a couple of breakdowns due to my thesis. And coping mechanism, that's also another thing that comes to mind. And lastly, counseling, which is something that we really need whenever we encounter mental health issues due to our academics. So that's it for me. How about you, Miss Alexa, my fellow Filipina? Oh,
Thank you, Erica. So for me, when I hear the words or the phrase mental health, I always think about myself, my family, or my friends, simply the people around me. Because when everything shifted online, even when the pandemic started, I think, personally speaking, I encountered a lot of mental health or mental breakdowns or such mental burnouts. That's why it led to such inactivity for quite a few months after. And that's when I started to look into myself intrinsically and then try to work things out and gain my motivation. So, yeah, that would be all. How about you, Miss Anika?
Well, I completely agree with all of you guys. Especially when you're regarding about mental health, right? It's about your mindset. And one thing that is really important, I feel like a lot of us need to know, is that for me lah, you have to treat your mental health just as how you treat your physical health. And what is important for me is that you have to have a healthy mental health, a healthy mindset, so that when you have a healthy mindset, then you can face any problem that you are currently facing. You wouldn't expect someone who has fever, to suddenly run like 10 kilometers. So the same thing goes with mental health. If you're currently like being so sad or in depressive state, you wouldn't expect them to have the same normal productive outcome just as people with healthy mindset. So do acknowledge that occasional sadness or problems you will face it in your life. However, what one thing that you need to know is that you need to know how to manage the problem, and also, as long as the problem that you are facing are not prolonged to the point where it jeopardizes the productivity of your life, and you know how to face the problem, then you can consider that you have a healthy mindset. You know what? It's a problem. It's okay. It's a space for me to actually improve and grow myself. So that's why it's very important. Mental health, if possible, try to seek out for a healthy mindset. And if you do have problem regarding mental health, then that is where you have to acknowledge that problem. And again, I agree with, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Alexa and also Miss Erica stated about seeking out professional help or coming up with coping mechanism, right? Those are the things that gradually can help you out. So yeah, that's it from me. Back to the moderator.
So, like, mental health is a very big issue. So, have you like ever even feels the issue that have you ever even what to say? So, mental health is a big issue. So, have you ever experienced this this disease?
Is there anyone want to go first? Or can I go first? Please allow me. All right, okay. So for me, because mental health is a broad terms, right? It covers that there mental health. You have this like state of your mind where you're occasionally sad or anxiety or depressive and all that. But there's also like specific things like you are clinically diagnosed with the problem, like ADHD or the mental health disease or in other things. So for me, I personally don't have like I've never been clinically diagnosed with mental health disease. But what I can say is that the sadness and the grief that I've had and impact my life a lot. So it doesn't. I think for me, like what I would like to say is that you don't need to be like to the point where clinically diagnosed. Is that when you realize that you have a problem with your mental health? Is that it is when you realize that okay, I'm sad, but it is out of the norm of occasional sad or out of the norm of occasional anxiety or depressive moment. So that is when you, okay, you know what, I need to do something, whether I change my lifestyle habit or I need to seek out professional help and all that, which is very important. Like for me, I'm a very talkative person, so I would like to talk with other people and all that to lift not all of my problem, but at least like half of my problems already felt like lifted. And I would seek out treatment from my counselor. Just talk. Really, it's a big relief to someone who out there might have the same problem with me. So yeah, that's it for me. What about you guys, Faris or maybe Erica?
Well,
Yeah, just like
I
what
can't.
yeah, thank you so much, Paris. Just like what I shared earlier, I experienced mental health issues, especially due to my thesis. So thesis is a very, big hurdle whenever you already reach your last year in college, and so that's my present problem or the issue that I'm trying to overcome. But well, tomorrow is my final defense. Hooray to me. I am almost there. I think my teachers are also listening in now. Thank you so much for um giving me this opportunity to also join events like this, even though there are a lot of things going on in my academics. But yes, I have experienced mental health issues, and just like Annika, it's not really to the point where I was clinically diagnosed as to have serious mental health issues, but um, there are a lot of causes that could lead me to this kind of state. And it's not just academics. When you're a student, you're also dealing with problems with your relationships and all that. So it also comes down to how do you balance academics with all those other issues that you have. And when you don't know how to handle all those together, then it could lead to mental health issues. So yeah, that's it for me. Mr. Faris, you were saying something earlier.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Erika. Basically, yeah, my standpoint about mental health is similar with Miss Anaka and Miss Erika, which is I am not specifically going to the doctor and check if I am diagnosed with depression or ADHD or whatsoever, but there's going to be a one time in our life when we, for example, I'm saying about myself, when we fail in doing something, the feeling of the sadness, the disappointment is, for me, it's almost similar with the person who is facing some depression whatsoever. But the good thing is at that time for me was quite temporary, because basically, for long story short, when I was in a previous study, which is during my diploma, I was a president in a club, and in which I was having a challenge between balancing my academics and my clubs. So it went until where I repeated 4 subjects during that semester, in which it was quite challenging for me to struggle after that semester. And I'm not going to lie, even though I'm smiling right now in front of you guys, but at that time, at that specific moment when I faced the challenges of repeating 4 subjects in a university in which the average subject as a UITM student took a subject for one semester is around 7. So I repeated like 3 over 4 subjects. So it's quite challenging for me. But thank God, since I learned from my lesson, for my degree right now, which is on MMU, I quite doing fine, and that is very. I'm very thankful for my experience and the friends who supported me. So it brings to a level where even though you are facing in a very challenging situation, but you need to have a good circle, and at the same time you need to find a solution where it can cure yourself. It's not doesn't necessarily mean that you need to stuck in your room for the whole month. That doesn't solve anything. So yeah, for me, mental health is a normal thing for students to face, no matter the good things or the bad things. It's normal. But if you find something bad about yourself, facing like a failure or something, it is a must for us to find a way that, okay, it's okay for you to be sad for a moment. It's okay, because if you don't cry or if you don't feel sad about your own failure, what are you? You are not a robot, you are a human being, right? So for me, it's okay for you to be sad about what you failed in, but you need to find one moment in your life where you need to step things up for you to overcome your, your sadness or whatsoever. So for me, that this is a very good advice, because I faced this experience by myself, and maybe for the person out there who's watching this live can, you know uh, maybe facing the same challenges as me, you guys can, find a way for you guys to overcome your state of mind, for you guys to survive in your university life. So yeah, that's like how the mental health issues, mental health challenges brings me to the where I am now. So yeah, what about you, Miss Alexa?
Thank you, Sir
Miss
Faris.
Erms, sorry, Miss Erms, I'm sorry.
So everybody kept in mind my nickname, pero thank you. So when I'm taking in the lens as a student leader, as a pre-service teacher as well. So with my experiences with mental health, I'm not saying that I'm clinically diagnosed, but feeling that sadness even after a short meeting with your friends, with your counsel, with a few people that you know personally, after ending the call, it seems a bit lonely inside your room from quite some time. So I felt that kind of sadness. It's because I realized I'm a person oriented kind of girl. So I'm really into going outdoors, going out with friends. I'm really used to that kind of crowd. I'm that fish who's always in school. And then when the pandemic really started, I think I froze. I broke down and felt that isolation. It really attacked me. And then I took note of those sadness, those dark moments where I had to cry from time to time without any reason. Why do I feel like my chest is burning or it feels a bit heavy? Then I tried to compare it to the life outside when the pandemic did not start. And then I slowly transitioned it to how I can better it now with the situation having things online. Now I had to adjust a lot of time. I had to adjust a lot of stuff with work or in council or even as a student. That's why I had time offs with my gadgets so that I don't get to have so much radiation coming into my eyes. I know it may sound a bit quirky na you don't have to turn off your phone because your life is circulating online, given that we're working or working from home. But we get to have a time limit for ourselves. That's what I did. I had to reshift. I had to reschedule everything and listen to myself. I needed this time for myself. I needed to sleep if I had to. I had to read a book if I want to. I had to take that piece for myself because I realized not looking into myself first and attaining or shifting my attention so much with other people, it really drowned me. It drained a lot of my energy and that cost my mental health. I did not need a doctor around, but I know there was something going on. So that's what I did. I prioritized myself. I took that piece in, and then I had to inform some of my friends that I had to stay in for a while and not talk to them, and they understood. You just had to keep your circle that small for those people who understands you. That's how you're gonna grow your mental health in a healthier way. But yeah, that would be all. Back to you, Shazliana.
There was a great sharing from everyone. So, uh, aside from like uh, in your like universities or in your country, do you have like other mental health stories like except like being stressed about studies or others? Maybe like depression and like committing suicide in your university or others.
Maybe I'd like to dive in first. I'm speaking on behalf of the things that I see as a council president. Starting in the school year, we have a lot of enrollees. Of course, teachers, all of us from the higher education are very happy to have new enrollees. But as the year or as the term goes by, we observe that some of the students stop going to school. And I thought first-handedly it's financial problems because that's something that is quite rampant here in the Philippines, especially in Mindanao. But when I personally ask these people, they say that they can't take so much of the online setup because of how they are used to with being with people or being inside a classroom. And I said, then what's the difference with being with your classmates inside Google Meet or inside Microsoft Teams? And then some of those students would say, it's really not the same because of the vibe. There's no vibe in your room. You don't get to talk with people. Yeah, it's the vibe. It- and all the more, it doesn't help with their mental health state. Who are they going to lean to when the topic's not easy for them? How do they adjust to school if you're a new student in the university? It's quite hard. You Not all people are the same when it comes to adjustment in the university. May it be that university is something prestigious or not, but the mere fact that you're a student trying to adjust for quality education, you can't get that pure quality education if you don't get to have that true true crowd or true sensation of being with people that you're going to spend for the 4 years till you get that full degree. So I think the dropout rates here that we're experiencing has a lot of factors, and mental health is one of that. So yeah, how about our other three panelists who'd like to join in?
I would like to add on to what Erms just said. Thank you so much, Erms. Similar to what Erms has said, here in our university, there are also cases of students who have stopped schooling maybe for a year or indefinitely. And there was one student that I was able to ask why he decided on that. He said that it was because he was also prioritizing his work. So nowadays, here in the Philippines, there are a lot of students who are also working on the side, especially online teaching. And I think it's difficult for them as well because of the schedules. There are certain workplaces, or there are certain yes, there are certain what do you call this, companies that who have strict schedules for their workers. So those students who are working in those companies have to follow those schedules, and they also need the salary because of perhaps their financial status and their families. And so they wanted to prioritize their work. So those are also factors that we have to consider whenever we hear narratives of students who are dropping out, or pausing, from taking a pause from from their schooling. And Shazliana also mentioned suicide cases earlier, and that's also a very sensitive topic. Here in the Philippines, there are a lot of those cases, and I don't know, maybe some of us here have first-handedly experienced a peer or someone that we know, an acquaintance, going through that, and those are really unfortunate. And I hope that us five here haven't reached that point. But maybe one thing that I can say is it's really good if you have circles of friends who can maybe check out on you if you're okay from time to time. And in our own cases, we need to self-assess as well if we're also okay, because we can't pour from an empty cup, right? So we also have to do a self-assessment, self-reflection every once in a while. And when we assess that we are fine, we don't have maybe serious problems going on, then we can also do our part in checking on our friends if they're okay, because we really need company sometimes, especially since it's the pandemic, we can't see people, or we have the choice to isolate ourselves from other people. We don't get to process our emotions, we don't get to process our thoughts with other people, and that can be dangerous because our emotions will be pent up, and then one day we just realize that we're already breaking down and we don't have a faucet, an outlet that we can release these emotions, overflowing thoughts. So yes, let's do our part in checking on our friends and also self-assessing. So yeah, that's it for me. How about maybe Anaka or Faris?
Anaka first.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I mean, in my situation, there's like huge layers to this, right? To the point where suicide cases and self harm, it is something that I don't think would be what you call like you heard of quite often, like in your respective uni. It's something that they will kept secret about. So I'm not really sure about that. Okay, but what I do heard around, especially in my uni and all that, there are a lot of people. I don't know, probably because the fact that because we're shifting from the endemic to from the pandemic season, right? So a lot of us like sit at home and with the family and all that. So there are people who deals with a lot of family problems or a lot of people that deals with trauma and um, even financial problem that I know that somewhat like financial problem, what does that have to do with mental health? Sometimes again mental health, having health, when talking about mental health you want to have healthy mindset. So the problem that you have, is it somewhat affecting the way you think, the way you feel and all that? So all the stuff like financial problem, family problem, trauma, or whatever problem that you might have, academic problem and all that, it somewhat affected them on how they reacted towards something. Okay, and one of like I feel like surging trend and when you have these problems is that you would run on the social media, right? So the social media is one of the, I feel like a lot of us can agree, I think, hopefully, that you can start to see and judge your friends, especially those that you've known for a very long time. Like, you know what, she's all right. Okay, she's okay. Oh, there's time that she's like a bit down here. We must do something. So personally, and I know it's a bit, I found it a bit cringe myself that I've done that before on my social media. That those things that when you're a bit upset and you're not in a good mood, somewhat you like change your profile picture. I'm not a person who ran on social media, but I would like quietly like do like change my profile picture to like dark background or something. I'm sorry if it sounds weird, uh, but yeah, it's true. It's those pattern in social media platform can nowadays give you the biggest clue towards the current mental state of the students. That's one thing. Whether through your text pattern, the way you converse with your friend. There's some like all the time they give you this like a lengthy paragraph long conversation, and then those mood where they're very down, you're just like, okay, all right, never mind, or stuff like that. And there's again like the changing your profile picture, as embarrassing as it may be, but yeah, it's something that you need to kind of be aware about. And another thing is the rent on the social media, because I get it. Some people may not like those who rant on the social media. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but try to put yourself in their shoe, especially if you are in a situation where you're trapped. You're at home, you have nobody to talk about, especially if you have like family problem. You don't really have good communication with the family, right? So it will limit your circle of people who you're going to talk with, especially if you're like in new semester, you're still like trying to figure out who's your friends and all that, right? So renting on a social media is also a hint for us to take, like, okay, there's something that probably we need to do with these students and all that. Maybe they need a place for us to lend an ear, like what Miss Erica said, right? Something. Okay, so that's the problem. So if you notice this change of pattern, and there's this self-harm or around the social media, all these kind of like signals that tells you, hey, I need help. And maybe they don't need help, but ask them, are you okay? Do you need someone to lend an ear? Those 1 to 2 minutes, I actually have personal story, but I'm gonna keep that later. Do you need someone to help you out and stuff like that? It can give a huge relief to the person who is having that problem. So yeah, that's it. Okay, back to Paris.
Yeah, so basically, in terms of the challenges regarding the mental health during the pandemic, is quite fully explained by Anaka, Erika, and Erms just now. So basically, the question from Shazlina was basically the one of the experience about the mental health, right? So that was the question. So basically, maybe I will try to bring it back the story that I have told you guys just now, which is I basically have the challenges to cope between my academics and also my club, which is maybe, as you guys may know, handling a club is not easy as it looks, especially when you are a president. Because I was a president of East Asian Culture Club in UiTM Dungan Terengganu. So I was the top management person who needs to lead the club. So at that time, of course, I was preparing myself mentally, physically, on how should I cope with the surrounding. So basically, overall, what I can say is I am not going to say it was a good ending, and I am not going to say it is a bad ending, because one of the challenges was what is on my surrounding. You know, like I wasn't having a good roommates. I wasn't having a good good attention towards the classes, something like that. So I am not saying that the surrounding was the factors. It is myself where I adapt to my own surroundings. So basically, at that time, I have challenges to understand the topics that where I learn in university. And long story short, that is one of the biggest moment in my life during my study career, my study moments in my life. I repeated that the 4 subjects. So as maybe like Shazliana and Anaka quite understand what is the meaning of repeating 4 subjects in a semester in UiTM. You know, it's quite challenging. You need to prepare. Maybe you need to extend for a semester. Maybe you need to take a short semester so that you can graduate on time, because most of university student, right, for example, if you are learning your diploma or your degree in 2 years and a half, 3 years, you want to graduate on time. That's generally everybody's target. But for me at that time, when before I faced the challenges of extending 1 semester, I really think that if I extend, my future is going to be very bad. But when I extend a semester during my previous university, and I how should say, I finish the semester with flying colors in terms of result, I finally understand that extending a semester, of course, it brings you a bad effects in terms of your study journey, because maybe you should finish this amount of time, but you extended a little bit more. But for me, specifically, every single person in university have different types of learning process. Maybe some person is quite fast, some people is quite slow, some of them is quite intermediate. So for me, if you find yourself as a maybe slow learner, intermediate learner, fast learner, don't say anything lah. If you fast, go fast lah, kan? So if you are an intermediate or a slow learner, for me, it's not a issue. It's not a problem for you to be in that kind of situation during your study life, because that is who you are and that is your story. Because believe me, if I did not extend a semester in UiTM, I mean my previous university, I would never feel the frustration. I would never feel the motivation of how am I going to overcome after that. So that's why about mental health itself, at first, believe me, everybody, believe me, you will feel like a very, it's like you fall down on a very deep tunnel, and you are trying your best to find a way to get up back. That's the feeling of what I was experiencing during my failures during my diploma. So that's why, because of that failure, it teaches me a lot during my studies in my new university, which is in multimedia university. So I really want to advise to everybody that mental health is very important, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to run away from failing. Of course, failing is a bad thing if you didn't do a good preparation, but if you face failing results that can teaches you to go more forward, go with it, because that is one of the things that teaches me to go more further in my study life, and it brings me the motivation to struggle more based on what was my mistakes before. So yeah, I think that I think I took quite some time. So back to you, Shazina. Thank you so much.
There was a very great and long discussion from everyone. I very appreciate all your words. So there are some questions from the audience to ask. So our first question is, since mental health is already well known as mental health problems, what do you think of the stigma in Philippines? Maybe Miss Erica and Miss Erms can give your answer.
Go, Erica.
Okay. Okay, I'll go first. I think a lot of the stigma surrounding mental health in the Philippines can be traced to religion. I am Christian, and although I understand the sentiments of Christians, good meaning Christians, well meaning Christians who want to encourage those who may be experiencing mental health issues by telling them to just pray, um, or things that are religiously related. But I think we also have to address, even as a Christian, I admit that we also have to address the root of the issue, because saying things like just pray about it can be dismissive. And people who have gone out of their way to tell you their vulnerabilities, they might be discouraged to do the same thing again in the future. So instead of going straight to giving advices like those, maybe we should instead give a listening ear, to let them rant. There's a great advice that I read online recently, which is, it could help to ask, if, for example, if there is a person who reaches out to you, it could help to ask them first, do you want to just rant, or do you want me to give you advices about your problem? Because there are cases, right? So there are cases when we like to rant about something, but we don't really like to hear the other person to give advices about our problems, because we're not ranting to solve our problems. We just want to let out the heat. So I think that's something that we also have to address here in the Philippines, since this is a country where majority or a lot of the populations are Christians. And I have nothing against my faith, and I believe, of course, I believe that prayer is a powerful thing. It is one of the core foundations of our faith. But again, so that they can we can help them better, we should first ask them about their problems before giving them solutions. Maybe the solutions that we will be giving are actually unsolicited. They don't actually want it. So yeah, that's it for me. How about you, Erms? Do you have more to add?
Yeah, to add on that also, Erica, I think apart from religion, there could be also the lack of sensitivity on referencing or coining mental health. Let's be honest here. There's a clear line between generations from generations. Uh, let's say our grandfather or our parents, they did undergo mental health, but they were adapted to the traditional way of saying you can do it. You just don't mind it. But now, in our generation, it's quite fun being given attention to. It's quite critical already. That is why here in the Philippines, it's part of the stigma that the lack of sensitivity of actually addressing that you have mental health issues is really is rising, and it can be offensive to those who feel that way, who has the issue itself. So I think the stigma there is the lack of sensitivity and the lack of people or ways on how we can address it. Yes, we do have professionals for it, but does everyone afford it? No, I don't think so. And also, do we have the actual ways or the simple ways to do it so that we can mitigate that? So yeah, that would be my end or my thoughts on that. So yeah, back to you, Shazliana.
There was a great answer from Miss Erica and Miss Erms. So move to second question that audience asked from Asma Yusri. What do you think that universities specific I'm sorry for my pronunciation. Okay, so what do you think that universities specifically need to do to help the students? Anyone would like to answer?
Maybe this question is quite close to what I face and what I wish, like the surrounding and me myself in the future. When I see someone having this kind of problem, I would love to give a hand. So basically, university itself needs to have the responsibility. For example, if in Malaysia, for example, create a student division club that is specifically functioned to prepare the consultation, prepare a space for a student where, because sometimes student is not necessarily quite comfortable sharing their problems with the consultant. For example, they are quite apa suitable, they are comfortable in sharing their problems with their friends. So maybe the platform itself, the objective is to provide a place where people can share their problems, and a person with experience about psychology, about consultation, is where people can gather in one place to, because for me, to be honest, right, university is a place that where you will face a good things and the bad things, the place you enjoy, and at the same time you face your own fear, right? So we don't want to let the student like 100% faces their fear and graduate their diploma with not getting any good morals at all. So as for my experience that I faced previously during my diploma, I think it's very important for a student, even if we don't make any clubs about this platform also, we as an individual, when we see someone having a problem in terms of, it doesn't matter about relationship, it doesn't matter. When we saw someone having a problem, for me, we need to have a very warming heart to ask, bro, are you okay? Like, for example, if we have a roommate that is very bad mood one day, for example, if I was in a situation where my roommate suddenly come back from class like having a very bad mood face, like in Malaysia we say that muka 50 sen, 50 cents of your face, like 50% shillings face, right? a coin face, a very moody face, I would like lend a hand to say, bro, are you okay? For me, like what Miss Anaka said, these words will at least help a person not to burden their problems by him or herself, because it's quite dangerous if you have a problem you don't share with someone. For example, of course, like Muslims or Christians, for example, because I think I'm not going to go quite a sensitive topics about religion, but I'm saying things in general. For example, like if we as a Muslim, when we have a problem, one of the main person that we need to refer is our God. But for me, yes, the first person you need to refer is your own God. Second and the third, for me, if you guys are quite close with your parents, go to your parents or your siblings. The third person is your friend or maybe your roommate. Because for me, if you see yourself which kind of surroundings that you are in right now, and you use the surrounding properly, I think no matter what kind of problems comes to you, you can overcome it. So for me, right, so university have the responsibility to understand that this is happening among the student. So I think it's better for the university to create an awareness individually towards the student, and also if they want to make a club or a facility that provides this kind of platform, why not? I mean, it will help the students, especially in Malaysia or even in the Philippines. So yeah, that's my answer. Thank you so much. What about you, Miss Anaka?
Yeah, I would like to add on that actually. For me, creating this what I can sum up is creating a safe space for us to basically share our thoughts and opinions, so that you can, somewhat help yourself. But another thing that I feel quite significant that can somewhat help with the mental health being of the student, I'm not sure how to put it, but creating a platform where they guide us on, you don't need to cover all the topics, like guide us on like basic thinking patterns, or like basically like psychological stuff that somewhat helped us to acknowledge that, hey, oh, this thing, this is a problem actually. Because I feel like a lot of us, we have problems, right? But sometimes we don't know that that is actually a problem. That we don't know that the action that, for example, like the action that I'm taking is actually, the way that I'm thinking is actually lowering my self-esteem, and there's a term for that too. So I feel like creating a platform where they give us like, because obviously through counselor, that's one of the platform that you can do, but maybe make it in a more fun and interactive way. What if like my place to go is like site to go, if you guys like to like search it up, where it gives like a brief detail of like a few psychological facts and information that gives you an insight. Oh, there's this problem, there's this solution, and it does not like it does not apply as a way for me to say that you should self-diagnose. No, but what I'm saying is that at least now you know that there are these problems. First, it does not only help you to acknowledge that there are situations where this is a problem for you, or I need to find a solution. Second, I feel like when we create an environment where people understand, because the problem where, when we give advice or we don't really lend a help or anything, we don't have enough knowledge about that. So it helps us to create empathy, where we know, oh, actually this person has social anxiety, these are the actions and steps that I need to take in order to, help this person out. So I would really like to see if there's a way for a student to give like, it does not need to go deep, but at least it's enough for us to create a awareness that there are some few things that you need to know about your thinking pattern, know yourself, or how to deal with other people. That's it. Yep, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Faris and Miss Anaka. So, Miss Erica and Celeste, do you have something to add about this question?
Maybe for universities to support their students in school. Uh, one good practice that we do in our college from the School of Education is something that we call as a mentoring program. we thought that the mentoring program is something that we do just to hone our skills as teachers, or to hone our skills as to which program we chose to in college. But later on, we found out that it helped us along the way with our mental health. It stabilized it stabilized us how to condition our mind when it comes to facing our academics. And every time that we don't know who to reach out to, especially in times that we're getting a bit sketchy with our academics or with our life, we turn to our mentors. And these mentors are the consistent people we go with since first year to fourth year. I'm very proud of that. I'm with a very cool doctor. She's named Mom Chatty. She's my mentor since first year. She handles us science majors, and we're just seven students. And she really helped us a lot along the way. She managed to listen to us with our rants, and she also addresses personal problems that that really backed us up in our performance in school. Each and every time she observes a student getting left behind with her or with his or her performance, she tries to reach out that person. And of course, some of us would say na it's our mental health, ma'am. It's our these problems. So I think one good practice that universities can implement in their schools is to have this mentoring program to monitor their students on how they are, not just academically but personally. That will that's not only go that's not gonna seal a good university award, but it will instill the vision and the mission of the university itself. It will picture out how they want to produce their students. So university wise, that's that's how I pictured out how universities can really help in another way apart from education. So yeah.
Um, can I go next?
Yeah, you
I would
can.
like to add on to what Erms also has said. I was actually thinking of mentoring trainings also. What Erms said is mentoring programs, right? But I was also thinking of having mentoring trainings wherein students would be maybe trained by psychological professionals or counseling professionals on like how to kind of like first aiding in mental health. If someone reaches out to you, how should we respond to them? Because tips like the one I mentioned earlier, asking if the person who is sharing to you wants advice or just wants to rant, tips like those really help us, because prior to reading that, I would directly give my advice, and then I would not realize that my advice did not actually help, but it actually discouraged that person from sharing to me in the future times. So I think students can also be trained on how to mentor, or maybe mentor is not the exact term for that, but like how to first aid whenever someone would share to you his or her vulnerabilities. I think this would be an interesting thing to have in universities. Personally, I haven't experienced this yet, where I would be trained on how to deal with those kinds of things. But yeah, I think that would be an interesting thing to have. And I think also even my friends would be very interested also to undergo that kind of training, even though it would be voluntary. I think a lot of people would sign up for it, because we have heard a lot of, let's say, for example, suicide cases. So, yeah, that's it for me, university wise. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for the great answer for the question. I hope the question. Okay. Let's move to last question for today. Curious question to all. Have you ever felt in any point in your life hopeless? If so, how did you overcome your darkest moments? So, who would like to answer?
May I?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, because okay, of course, anyone will face their hardest time, their peakest day on their life in which they don't even have the courage to get back on their feet at that particular moment. That's for me, generally everyone will face that kind of moment. So I would not say that it's okay for you to be that way for a long term, of course, but in a way that when you face that kind of situation specifically, right? For me, you need to understand the process of what you are feeling it right now when you are facing a certain point of your life, like hopeless, like you are very down for yourself. You need to understand the process of why you are feeling so down right now. Okay, so that's what I apply to myself specifically because, like, okay, for example, I fail in specific subjects. So I'm quite frustrated because most of my friends are going to graduate early and I am not. So what should I understand from this process is, for example, if myself, I need to start to give more effort towards my studies. I should be more com- communicate with lecturer, engaging with lecturers so that I can have extra knowledge about what should I study. So that's the first thing that I need to understand the process and how I should act with it. The second thing that I think that I applied for myself is which kind of circle that I am having in. Because in university, no matter ladies or gentlemen, men or women, we need to find a good circle for us. Okay? A friend that can advise us to keep consistently do good things or even perform in our study consistently or whatsoever, right? So having a good circle also help us, from being ourselves as a very down person or very hopeless at first. These people, okay, when we manage to find this kind of person, it will slowly, not surely like immediately, but slowly. Because honestly, I 2 months during my diploma to get back on my feet. Okay, I got this, and I need to go more forward. It took me 2 months, guys. 2 months for me because 2 months in UITM or in Shazliana's University, it almost like 7 weeks. It took me to get back on my feet so that okay, I need to do this. So in this process is the time that where I face to fight with myself that okay, Faris, you need to get back on your feet because if not, no one will do it for you. Okay, so the next step is how your surrounding will cope with you if you share your problems with them. Okay, the second thing is your own circle, and then the third things for me is about how you should treat your surrounding after this. Be more humble, share your love, show your sincerity towards others because like what my mother always say, you do what you say what you do. For example, if you fail in something, you find a motivation for you to get back up. So if you find a good things about what you are feeling right now in getting back on your feet and you understand that process, it's a very good thing for you to share with others because it is a very close concept with you do what you say what you do. So for me, that really teaches me a lot of how I slowly taking my process to get back on my feet for 2 months. Okay, so that's the for me lah during my university life, my high school life. That is the moment that where I really think that's the most darkest day of my life lah. Okay, so I hope this story at least can give you guys a picture of how you should have a tips for you to get back on your feet when after you face this kind of failures, your hopeless day in your life. So yeah, thanks to the question and back to no, maybe I'll pass it to Miss Erms, maybe.
I wasn't ready. Let's answer. But maybe uh, a deep point in my life was me trying to decide if I should continue studying after getting COVID. Yeah, I got COVID last year, and then months later, my dad was in a coma, so it was really hard for me adjusting with everything. And then, although it was a good
I'm so
news that
sorry. I'm so sad hearing that.
it's okay. Thank you. He's fine. He's fine. We're fine. We're all good. So thank you. Um, Everything was very gloomy at that time, and then on the other side of the coin, it's quite ironic that people were very happy with my presence because I was the newly elected president for our council. But I had to lie low for quite, let's say, 2 to 3 months because of the situation. But I had to be mentally present for our college. It's my role. But I question myself. Do I really have to do all these things despite the challenges that I'm undergoing? So I had to realign my thoughts. I had to use my values with it as well. And given my situation, I asked myself, do can I handle it? Can I handle everything at once? And the answer is no. So I wrote a leave of absence. I had to announce the public that I will be temporarily available. I had to attend to my family, and I need to attend to my health first because I can't give what I don't have, and all the more I can't give myself if I'm not in for it. So what did I do apart from the leave of absence? I took care of my dad. Oh, even though I'm very far, I'm not physically with him. I had to reach out to my family. I had to share to them that I'm really down. I don't know what to do. So tell me, what kind of advice can you share for me to visually see myself doing it feasibly, and then also connecting it to my mental health. I tried to, apart from praying, I tried to look back at my passion. I tried to look back at the things that I love, and I had to ask, why did I do this? Why do I love this? So that it will spark joy, and it will keep me going, and it will lead me back to my track. That's how, maybe not all of us can easily look at the bright side immediately, but what I can share is that try to ease the pain day by day, and look at the things that you love and ask yourself, why do you love to do that? Why do you like doing painting? Why do you like to sing? Why do you like to dance? For me, I ask myself, why do I like to teach? It's because I want to teach children. Those kids in our street, those kids that are already 18 but can't read, I want to teach them. So that's why I had to realign myself. Took my time and took care of my dad, and then I eventually I came back. I bounced back from the ashes. So yeah, that would be all.
Okay. Can I go next, Miss Shazliana?
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you so much for everything that you've shared, Erm. Sorry to hear that, and I'm very happy that you're all doing well in your family now. As for me, yes, there had been times where I felt hopeless, and the recent one, as I mentioned earlier, is when I had my thesis. It was midnight, and for quite a few days and nights already, I wanted to cry, but no tears would come out. So and then that one night, it was the night that they just I broke down. I broke down because I was frustrated with myself. I knew people had high expectations of me, my family, my teachers, classmates, and even myself. I had high expectations of myself. And I was frustrated that I wasn't able to reach those expectations. I was frustrated with my performance. even though people would say, "Oh, you're doing fine," but deep inside, I know that I hadn't been doing my best. So, what I did, I really had to acknowledge my mistakes first. Okay, so these are the things that I did wrong. I procrastinated. I prioritized Netflix. Let's be real here. I prioritized watching anime, K dramas, and this is the result. I had to pay for what I did wrong. So first I had to acknowledge my mistakes, and then I had to revisit my core as well. Um, that could mean a lot of things for everyone. It could mean different things. And for me, that meant that I had to rediscover, I had to revisit my faith. Why do I believe in what I say I believe in? I had to go back to the big questions like those that we tend to overlook because it's too stressful to. Because when you face questions like those, you see the broken parts of yourself, you see the unsightly pieces of yourself, and we of course we want to appear uh, good, we want to appear as a proper human being to other people. And when we self-reflect, that's the moment that we see, oh, this is the thing that I had been hiding from other people, and now I'm seeing it. And so that's what I did. I had to revisit my core. I had to revisit my faith, what I believed in, and it really helped me because as I was doing that, I also had a social media detox. So just like Erms, also for about 3 or 4 months, I took time off social media, and I just focused on reading spirituality books, or I rejoined my church community, and things like those that help to strengthen my faith, to strengthen my core. And although I wasn't updated with the news, what's going on in my country or in the world, but I was building myself up, and by doing that, it was also service to my country, because if you build yourself up, you become a functional human being and you become useful to your country. And so yeah, after doing that, after taking time off social media, when I felt like I was already doing better, a lot better than before, I was able to return to my duties, or tending to my relationships that I could only reach through social media. So I guess what I'm saying is, know your priorities. Don't focus on the superficial things, what you post on social media, or um, don't focus on looking good on social media when in fact deep inside you're broken. Go back to what's broken and fix that first before you show yourself to the world, before you show yourself to others. And I think I hope this is not very dismissive to the struggles of everyone during pandemic, but for people like me, the pandemic has also been a blessing in disguise, because it literally forced me to go back to the broken pieces and tend to those pieces. And so now I'm a lot better, and even in my thesis, I'm striving, and I'm almost there. So those are the things that I did whenever or during the times that I felt hopeless as a student. Okay, so that's it for me. Is there anyone yet among the panelists who haven't shared, or should I give the floor back to Shazliana?
Miss Annika, do you have something to share?
Yes.
Do you have something to share, like your experience?
Oh. Are you okay? Are you done? Okay, let me let Erica wrap up. I'd like to share something, just a little bit. Can I go next, or is Miss Erica has something else to say? Okay, here. Okay. So in my case, so first thing first, I know that different people had different problem, right? ironically, my problem, even as a uni student, my biggest problem wasn't really revolving around education or my test and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, regardless whatever it is, like as long as I have the biggest motivation, then I can just go through that. Thankfully, all my grades, I kind of get a grip a bit, grip a bit on that side. My problem is actually the biggest downfall for me is always I don't really have, how can I say this, the best relationship with my family. So that's something that I found myself to be, it's quite tricky because you expected your family to to be that safe zone for you to like talk and share everything with your problem, right? So it's kind of like the opposite of Faris situation. So mine is more on family instead of education. So what I did, especially during the pandemic, right? It was like, I have to be honest, it was like a horror house for me. It's like I can't do this. What's going on? But I later realized that it's okay. Okay, this is one of the problems that I must face. So what do I need to do? So first thing first, what I did is, um, obviously you need to acknowledge your problem. And second, I know that I need to talk to someone. So I go and seek out with my counselor. My counselor is like my safe place lah, if I would like to say. And then I found that I need someone to mentor me. I don't really like to sit alone. That's why I really don't like to stay at home. It's like I don't really vibe in the home, you know what I'm saying? After that, after I found like my counselors and everything, he shares some insight and all that. I found that okay, I talk about my problems, so a lot of my burden are already lifted. Okay, second, since I'm facing the problem at my home, right? So what do I need to do so that I don't get too afflicted by the things that happening in the house? So another one thing that my counselor shared with me is that create a reason and put yourself in their shoe, because the same thing happened when giving advice or facing with people who don't really understand your situation, right? Sometimes maybe your parent, your grandma, or whoever it is, or your teacher, they might not know about the psychological aspect of dealing with the feelings, right? So understand that they might not have an introduction to the mental problem. So that's one thing. So when you put that, and so you know that, and they themselves have problems, so they're not at the what we call the healthy mindset, right? So just as how you would expect someone with fever don't really react the most normal way to you, that is also how you would react to someone else who has their own personal problem, react the same way to you. So when you know that they're not really in a good condition and they say something mean to you or something like that, and you feel a bit afflicted towards it, give reasons so that you build empathy. So when you build empathy, you don't really come to them as if like, I don't really like to talk with this person. You'd be like, oh, okay, I understand why you did that. It's okay. And you also need your time. So you allow them to heal, and you allow yourself to build this shield to help you to face that problem. And finally, really more on my own personal issue about overthinking. So my counselor shared about this thing called cognitive dysfunction. And one of it is about overthinking, right? It's something that disrupts your pattern of thinking. So I have this tendency to overthink, which resulted me in having a very low self-esteem. So when I acknowledge, oh, I have that problem, that specific problem, it's funny how like some of my friends said that, you know what, you just need to call and say hi. That's it. Simple things like that breaks that pattern of my overthinking. Like, oh, okay, I actually can call them. I can actually just say hi. So those simple thing, like I say to myself, I need to change. So I call my friend. I seek out for my counselor, and I basically break this. You have to have a breaking point where you notice that this been going on for so long, so you yourself need to identify where is that point where you need to stood up for yourself, and then just I need to change. So do something, whether you change your habits or whether you seek out for help from other people, as long as you can at the end of the day manage your problem, and so that you can build a healthy mindset. So that's it for me. Thank you. Yeah, back
Thank
to
you.
moderator.
Okay. So thank you everyone for the nice experience and story sharing. Unfortunately, we are running out of time right now. So we have to end our webinar. So thank you all for attending and we hope you have learned something and enjoyed this discussion. See you guys later.
Thank you, Miss Shazliana. What an interesting forum session. It was also inspiring and nicely said. Hopefully, the information that is being shared by all speakers has helped a lot of students to manage their emotional well-being better. Thank you so much for willing to attend this event. Time passed so fast with amazing people. Please give another round of applause for all of our guests for today. Now, we have reached the end of our session and our prestigious webinar program. I feel so honored to be able to host the first day of this international event. I would like to give a big shout out to our amazing team that makes this webinar program run smoothly. We would like to thank our viewers that have stayed with us throughout the entire program. Do not forget to fill in the feedback form from the link provided in the chat box. We hope to get your opinions on our event. Till we meet again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.